Even without Kyrie, I and a lot of people like the Nets to win the NBA championship as this, the league's 75th season, tips off tonight with a doubleheader. Michael and I get to, as if we ever stop talking about Nets Bucks, we get to talk about it more tonight and again tomorrow. But right now, we're about to get a lot smarter. We didn't go on full box with this thing. We got Vinnie Goodwill from Yahoo Sports and Kurt Helin from Pro Basketball Talk here to help us dive into this NBA season. So, Kurt, we'll start with you, man. I'll ask you this way. Feels like all offseason and today, given what's happened in Philadelphia, we talked about two situations nonstop. Kyrie Irving versus the vaccine, Ben Simmons versus the Sixers. Which situation, if either, do you believe gets resolved first?
You know what Adam Silver loves more than anything is the day of a big game talking about stuff that's not a game. He's just got to be thrilled right now. I think Ben Simmons gets dealt with first. I think Kyrie's kind of dug in, and they, like you said, the Nets can live with this, man. Like they're going to be very good. They're going to be contenders. My guess is at some point during the season, Kyrie finds some way to save face and comes back to the team rested after, in January or around the All-Star break, and he looks fine. But I think Simmons gets traded sooner rather than later. And it's not just because of this. It's just they wanted to trade him anyway. Some team will suffer an injury. Somebody will get off to a slow start. Some superstar will be disgruntled. That will get dealt with first. I just think that that's the one where there's a little more momentum behind it.
Hey, Vinny, how would you handle the Ben Simmons situation if you are forget about Daryl Morey, but Doc Rivers, as he sees and hears what Joel Embiid has to say, how he sees and witnesses like the interaction or lack thereof between Simmons and his teammates, how would you handle it going forward?
Clear up a roster spot, see if I can trade for Udonis Haslem, see if Charles Oakley will come out of retirement, see if Hugh Douglas will be the team ambassador, considering he's in Philadelphia, for all those who get the reference. Yeah, I'm going to get somebody there that's a little bit on the tougher side. If I'm the coach, just from a coaching standpoint, if I got to deal with this guy and clearly he doesn't respect the process, he doesn't respect what's going on with his team, even though he's told the Philadelphia 76ers, I don't like how y'all kick it. I don't like what you said. Don't bother coming out here. Trade me. I get it. But if he's going to be there, you're going to have somebody there that he respects one way or the other. And by that, I mean somebody with the threat of hands, fisticuffs, someone that will get him in line. I know we're not supposed to say this out loud, and we are a non-violent people, but if I'm Doc Rivers, once again, if I'm Doc Rivers and I don't got a player on that team that has to worry about him in the locker room, I'm going to find somebody who can help accelerate the acclimation of Ben Simmons to some team activities.
Hey, Kurt, you sound like you agree with me about the Nets and how formidable they are even without Kyrie Irving. Feels like Nets, Bucks, and everybody else in the Eastern Conference. Who's the team in the Eastern Conference, Kurt, whether maybe Miami, for example, or even Philadelphia, should Ben Simmons decide to straighten up and fly right? Who's the team in the Eastern Conference that could spoil that coronation that we all expect, either Milwaukee going back or the Nets breaking through?
Yeah, I'm not sure what salvages the situation in Philadelphia. Maybe, I'm not sure that Damian Lillard, I'm not sure that anything really solves it in the short term. Well, Lillard might, but no, honestly, it's Miami to me. Aren't they the third best team? And I think they're better built for the playoffs than the regular season. They might finish behind the Hawks and some others in the regular season, but you get to the playoffs, you got Bam Adebayo protecting the rim. Now you got Kyle Lowry and Jimmy Butler creating. You've got shooters like Duncan Robinson and Hero out there, and Hero looked great in the preseason. I think top to bottom, that's a team that can defend, that knows who it is, that has a culture and a belief in it. To me, Miami is the team. We'll see where they finish in the regular season, 3, 4, 5, somewhere in there probably. But come the playoffs, they're the team capable of knocking off either of the top teams in the East, providing, I think they might need a little help, frankly, but that's the team to me that's got to be there. Vinny probably disagrees with me.
Well, hey, Vinny, that's a perfect segue, Vinny, because I want to ask you, and everybody else. Do you think the Brooklyn Nets can repeat as NBA champions? Because I think they won a championship last year. From what I hear, I think they won it in 6 over the Suns. So do you think they can repeat as NBA champions? I'm just wondering.
Just let me know when you get finished trolling, please. Just let me know when you're done.
I'm asking you. I'm asking you. Do you think Brooklyn is a championship team?
Okay, here's the difference. Here's what I will tell you. With Kyrie Irving on this Brooklyn Nets team, is one of the greatest offensive teams we've ever seen. Without Kyrie Irving on this team, they're merely the best team in basketball. Does that answer your question, Michael Holley? They employ the game's best player. They have probably the next best player, as far as second best player, in James Harden, who was playing like an MVP before he got hurt. If you go look at the numbers in that first look. I'm not the hugest James Harden fan. I'm completely with you on some of those playoff failures, but he seemed to find a niche before he got hurt. He was consistently playing big minutes, even though he was out of shape, while Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving were kind of in and out of the lineup for a bunch of reasons. So if you're giving me a year of continuity with that Brooklyn Nets team, Kevin Durant being another year removed from that Achilles injury, being more confident, having more sweat equity with that team and that franchise, I wouldn't be surprised if the Brooklyn Nets beat the Milwaukee Bucks. That's no shade to the Milwaukee Bucks. That's not saying that they're disrespected as a champion. That's not saying that I don't value them as a championship team, or that I don't think that the Milwaukee Bucks can come on like the Miami Heat did in 2013 after they won that first title with LeBron and Wade and have a pretty damn good run, because they have the cloud of questions lifted over their heads from a coaching standpoint, from Giannis' standpoint, from a supporting cast and everything else. They're going to be able to play freely this year with a whole lot of continuity that other teams will not. But I think if a tie is there, tie goes to the team with the best player. And slightly, I believe that is Kevin Durant.
Definitely want to get y'all MVP picks in a moment. But Vinny, let's do it like this. I want you to answer the question I asked Kurt about the best threat to the Nets and Bucks in the Eastern Conference. And then after that, who's coming out of the West? A lot of people seem to like the Lakers to lose to the Nets in the finals, according to a lot of prognosticators and betting odds and that sort of thing. Kurt, I think that was your finals prediction, if I'm not mistaken, is Nets over Lakers.
Yes.
So, Vinny, biggest threat in the East to either one of those top two teams, and then who you got coming out of the West, Vinny, and then followed by your Western pick, Kurt.
I feel like I should take this hoodie off because it's a little warm in Miami in June. You know what I mean? It's a little bit on the warmer side when you're hanging out on South Beach, when the weather gets nice and the heat get better as the season goes on. I don't think the Miami Heat will be a regular season juggernaut, but I do think they may have the defensive player of the year in Bam Adebayo. I think Kyle Lowry is going to be a great addition for them. Who knows if Victor Oladipo is actually going to outplay the minimum-ish contract that he's on to get back into free agency. But I think if you're talking about a team that is a threat from the standpoint of star power, from the standpoint of having defensive identity, from the standpoint of having a complete organizational identity, that if they catch you slipping, especially with Jimmy Butler, Bam, Kyle Lowry, and those guys that know their role, I think the Miami Heat, I would not be surprised if I were in Miami in early June. I'm not hoping for it.
Speak it into existence.
I'm just putting it out there.
And what about the West?
Yeah, you're not hoping for it. I'm just going to say, Vinny, if you and I can bounce between Miami and Los Angeles in June, I am good with that. I am very good with that. If that,
so Kurt's got the Lakers in the West.
Right. And
Kurt, you got the Lakers in the West? Kurt, you have the Lakers in the West?
Yeah, I have the Lakers in the West. I think at the end of the day, if Anthony Davis and LeBron James are right, you're talking about two of the top 5 players in the league. Anthony Davis can be the defensive anchor they need. Russell Westbrook isn't a great fit. Don't get me wrong. I don't like how he fits on that team in a playoff situation, or frankly at points in the regular season. But you know what he is? He's an innings-eating pitcher. He can get Anthony Davis and LeBron James to the playoffs in better condition because they don't have to play the same number of minutes. I think that's a team that gets there. And once they get rolling, I think they can look, I like the Jazz as an ensemble if everything breaks perfectly for them, but I still think I'll take the high-end talent, man. I'll take the Lakers and LeBron and Davis over the Jazz, over the Suns, over anybody if they're healthy.
Vinny, Western Conference?
I forgot to answer that question because I was so fixated on
okay.
the images of South Beach and everything else. But if you're talking about a threat to the Lakers, I'll admit it. I was mesmerized by the thoughts of being, in South Beach in June. Sue me. But no, I do think that the Lakers will not be a great regular season team. I would not be surprised if they hovered around that 4 seed because, like Kirk said, Russell Westbrook is like Pac-Man. He's going to eat up them minutes. He's going to eat up them pellets. And then you slide to the back a little bit and let LeBron and Anthony Davis takes over. But if I'm not picking the Lakers, the team I'm picking is the Denver Nuggets, a team that has youth on their side, a team that has Jamal Murray coming back presumably sometime in the second half of the season, and Michael Porter Jr., who I think is primed to be the number 2 option as a better long-term fit for that team anyway. When Murray comes back, he's not a super athletic player, so I don't expect that this ACL injury is going to hurt him on the recovery as it might with other guys. I think he can sort of settle in as a guy who can be a spot-up shooter, who can create his own shot but not have the pressure because Porter has taken over that second spot. And because the Denver Nuggets are younger than all of these other teams. The Lakers are old. Phoenix is old because their best player, Chris Paul, is old. Golden State, a team that we're hoping a lot of things from with Klay Thompson coming back from not 1 but 2 injuries, are old. So to me, when it comes down to a grueling season, when it comes down to another truncated time period with the calendar, tie goes to the healthiest and younger team, and I think that could be the Denver Nuggets.
I'm looking at Vinny's champions pick, and this is not a troll game here, don't worry. But I do have that more all season long. I'll be here all season long. I'm not going anywhere. But I wonder about Christmas. I know Christmas 2021, that's a big day on the NBA calendar. We all look forward to it. And I'm wondering, I need you both, Kurt and Vinny. Vinny, I'll start with you. I need you both to give me a prediction about what Kyrie's status will be on Christmas. Because here we are at the end of October. Sure, he's not there. Let's move this forward a couple of months. What will we be saying about Kyrie on Christmas? Will he be playing for Brooklyn, playing for somebody else, still making his statement about vaccinations?
You're asking me, a person who's not Madam
Yes.
Cleo, a person who does not have the lottery numbers for today, to make a prediction on Kyrie Irving? If I got to make one, here's what I will say. If I have to make a prediction, I will say more than him being vaccinated, I think he gets traded to a place where he doesn't have to be vaccinated. I wonder if the Nets get off to a slow-ish start that looks at them and says, you know what? We have to get a little bit better. We have to close up some of these personnel holes that we wouldn't have had to close up if Kyrie Irving were there as a superstar third scorer, an overqualified number 3 option. I would not be surprised if, Kevin Durant, who plays Colonel Jessup, orders the code red and says, you know what, we got to get serious on this. And maybe you trade Kyrie Irving because he seems to be pretty steadfast with his beliefs. As inconsistent as Kyrie is, the one thing that we know is that he is married to his thought in that mind today. And if he stays there, I think the Nets will have to make a personnel move because they can't afford to have that salary cap slot, mind you, because he has a player option, that salary cap slot stashed away for a guy that may not want to play for you and you may not want him to play for you again.
I think you hit the nail on the head. That has to come from KD, right? Like that does not come out. That does not happen without Kevin Durant giving a thumbs up from the Emperor's box on that one, right? Like if he does, though, all those Ben Simmons trades that the Sixers hate, they're there for Kyrie. And I might consider, hey, Karis LeVert and a couple pieces out of Indiana. I might be up for that. I might be up for something that, like you said, just provides some depth and fills some holes. If you've got Kevin Durant and James Harden, you just need quality players around them. That's why Patty Mills and Blake Griffin and all these other guys fit well. Joe Harris obviously fit well with them. You had a little more depth and a little more versatility, and Steve Nash has got more chess pieces to play with, then that's all the better. I think they're going to consider it, but that's got to come from Kevin Durant. And yeah, I'm only slightly more likely to predict what Kevin Durant is thinking than Kyrie Irving.
Appreciate both of y'all thoughts as we tip off the NBA season tonight. We'll be seeing a lot more of you, Kurt Helin. We appreciate it. And again, thanks for all the work you're doing on Pro Basketball Talk. Vinny, you're going to come back and kick it with us a little bit more later on. We already saw Vinny's MVP pick on the screen. That's Kevin Durant. his best player in the league. Kurt, as we say goodbye, real quick, who's your MVP pick this year?
Luka Doncic, man, they didn't exactly go get a second ball handler out there. He's the only guy in Dallas that's going to do it.
All right, Luka it is. That was a very popular pick last year. We'll see if he makes good on that prediction this year.